Good morning, Lafayette. I'm your meteorologist, Brian Burden, with your weather forecast for a balmy Tuesday, May 19th. And the only reason I focus on Tuesday is that's trash day. In my memory, I got to remember those things and make sure that they're taken care of. Kind of got to start writing notes down about everything nowadays. So I got to keep track of that. So Tuesdays. So what'll happen is I'll get done with this and I'll forget it and I won't remember to do it. So hopefully I remember to do it this morning. At least for most of us, we'll be able to see that. And maybe you have the same problems that I'm having here, right? At times. So. So it is 74 degrees this morning. Yesterday we had some rains. It got up to like 80 again yesterday. It's been very warm here the last couple of days. It's going to get very warm again today. But the moniker, if you looked at it coming in, said something like, the bubble in full display today. And boy, are you going to be surprised at how this model kind of jumps over us and misses us. And I really fail to see how we don't at least see some rain out of it this evening at the very least. And then some of the models are showing that we're going to get some rain. So we'll have to see. I usually trust the HRR model, the HRRR, which is high resolution rapid refresh, I believe is what the exact meaning for it. And I usually trust that very well, especially the first 12 hours, and the first 48 is how far it goes out on its long-range ones. Every 6 hours it does one of those. I usually trust those pretty well, but it kind of just like hopscotches right over the top of us and misses us. And we've always joked that Lafayette has this bubble around it. When the weather comes up, it spreads apart, goes around it. It seems like that all the time. I'll bet it happens more frequently than you may think. You're not paying attention to it. I pay attention to it almost every day, and I see it all the time. And I'm like, what is there with Lafayette that has the storms break apart at that spot, right? Well, some of it has to do exactly where the lows are and different ideas on that, where the frontal boundary is, time of day, all kinds of different things. But what it's created for us, though, lately is the potential for a lot of really weird things happening and the bubble to pop up. And let's just get into it. Let's start looking at all the weather or what we have so far. It is currently 74 degrees this morning. The average high for this date is 75. So we're right at the high already. Here we are early this morning. We only got down to maybe 72 this morning at best, maybe even 67 in a couple areas, a few spots. So not very cold overnight at all for May. No worries about frost. That's one of the things we do worry about in May occasionally, But right now it looks like we are high and dry and warm. Very warm with a lot of rain out to our west, and some of that's going to try to hopscotch over us. We're high of somewhere around 82 today, so we'll call it the lower 80s for sure. It'll be simple. If the rain passes through, we might only hit 80. If we kind of get hopscotched over, we'll hit 82, right? Let's say all the rain develops and goes south. We might even hit 84, 85 before we stop. So it's one of those kind of days. But generally speaking, it does look like around 82 is going to be a good number for your high today. I might get the slingshot out based on the radar, but really the radar has so much rain all around us, and the forecast looks like rain all around us. I'm not sure if I even want to take that out today. So, plus got a doctor's appointment later on, so maybe not at all. We'll figure it out. We'll go in the car instead, all right? All right, so here's what we have. 74 degrees, winds out of the south, southwest, 10 miles an hour. That is a good direction for heat for us. Humidity of muggy 82%. Out there, you turn your air conditioner on this morning, you might get a little bit of fog on the window instead at first, at least the first little bit, and then it calms down and starts giving you some cooler weather blowing on you, right? That was a common factor that we saw in South Carolina all the time. A lot of fog on the windows in the mornings based on the fact that it was so humid early in the morning. I mean, 74 feels like 79. A nice southwest breeze there on you this morning. So we look pretty good. Heading somewhere near 82 to 55. Let's look at the satellite picture here already this morning. What does it look like? Well, this is the national shot. Wanted to show you the East Coast looks pretty good, right? West Coast looks what? pretty good, right? I do see a little mention of a Pineapple Express down off the coast of Mexico possibly coming in, and sometimes these will tie up into storms here all the way into the middle section of the country and drag in some of that moisture with it and enhance some of that. Not so far yet. You don't see a hookup yet at all with it. And sometimes it'll bring some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Believe it or not, May and June are the worst couple of months out in South Carolina or Southern California because we called it May gray and June gloom. So it's the 2 months during the year where everything kind of sets up pattern-wise, overall big pattern, where the fog comes in and it can stay in for days at a time. So that's one of those kind of periods that we used to call that, and we had some fun with it. And they're in the middle of their May right now, obviously, just like we are. So the coast looks like it's great, right? But when you get along the coast anywhere within 10, 20 miles, sometimes all they see is clouds for the entire day. So that's why they shoot a lot of their movies and other stuff inland a little bit and also at different times of the year. Just some of those ideas. Now, right in the Midwest, though, look at this big old bobber here, right? We got reds, we got yellows, we got oranges, we got some blue along with that. It's nothing heading towards. We're nice and dry over here in Lafayette. We look pretty good. The rain that went through yesterday, same thing, kind of hopscotched over some places, but got most of us at least sometime during the day yesterday. And it created some problems in the afternoon. Maybe some ball games got washed out, but we'll see. Right now, today, it looks like it's coming in closer to us. Let's go in regional sector, sub-regional, a little closer in, real close here. All right, here's Lafayette, right where the arrow is, and you can see the thunderstorms. Let's go out, back out one so we can see where the thunderstorms are. So here's your bigger picture at it. There we go. Lafayette right there where the arrow is, and you can see the big batch of thunderstorms down to our southwest. Oklahoma City just took on a batch. Arkansas is getting some, and they're moving into Missouri also. So all the way down there. Looks like Bill's probably going to be getting something today. I think Bill was talking about tomorrow as potential, but we'll see what happens with him down in Nashville because they look high and dry at the moment. Will these thunderstorms make their way all the way across by this evening for him? It's going to be hard pressed, but we'll see what happens there. So his chances were today and tomorrow. Our chances were supposed to be yesterday for some severe weather, and not much really happened locally anyway. That was pretty quiet, generally speaking, for most of us. A few spots got some of that strong gusty wind, though, as everything moved through yesterday. Now, here we go. There's the big thunderstorms there. There's not much for thunderstorm activity up near us. Let's change it over to a visual so we can see what's going on there. We see plenty of skies that are looking really good here over Lafayette, but we do see advancing clouds coming in from the west pretty easily. And then you can see the thunderstorms bubbling up right there, kind of like water bubbling up on a lake, or you know how they always show it in the movies, the oil. Oh, oil hit, and they show the little bubbles coming up through the sand. That's the kind of thing you see right there. Those are your thunderstorms and the tops of the thunderstorms. They generally get higher than the clouds themselves, and then you get a lot of blow off at certain levels depending on the height in the atmosphere. So that's where the thunderstorms are the strongest today, and where we need to worry about severe weather today is mainly down there. Our neck of the woods, not so much, but the folks down in Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas, or Arkansas, so to speak, that's where they have some problems with some of the thunderstorms today. So here's where we are now. That's where we're moving at. Let's take a look at the radar real quick. We'll put the mosaic over the top of that. You can see the big thunderstorms down to the south, and most of the rain in Illinois has started to dissipate in the last hour to 2 hours as it moves up towards Chicago here this morning. And then we're left with anything down towards St. Louis as being our next moniker of moisture maybe trying to push into the region. With all these thunderstorms heading towards the south, this is going to lose a lot of its energy. You can always already see that it's losing some of it, and everything to the north lost all of its energy, sapped by these thunderstorms down to the south. These babies hung on all the way through night and are doing some pretty good damage. We're moving along the I-40 corridor, actually just to the east of that, between Oklahoma City and, which is that Little Rock there? No, Little Rock's in the central. Well, that would be between the two, that's for sure, as of right now. Let's zoom in closer now so we can see that rain a little bit better in Illinois. We kind of put it on there. Lafayette right about here. We see a couple of the scattered showers that were in the area overnight last night. Maybe you got a little bit on the ground, maybe you didn't, just depending on where you were at. as it kind of hopscotched around and through us. And right now we're opening up. We're getting this big window. Well, that's a plus and a minus. Well, plus the temperature goes up. We feel great about that. But a minus is the stability of the atmosphere gets more negative. Now, we talked yesterday a little bit about angles, right? How angles can kill the idea of where the angle of what's happening with storms. So yesterday we would have a batch of storms, and they would come in and they would be angled like this and then kind of take a turn like that. And then I was saying eventually what happens is the storms that are, as the wind flows around, it can't get around the corner. And so the storms that are, north-south bending lose their intensity, right? That's what you would see with that. And so the storms that were on the southwest angle like this, which were all moving this way, but were on an angle like this, were still being fed plenty of moisture and they were okay. But as soon as you got to that turn point, all this stuff would fall apart. And that's exactly where we were yesterday. And the angle came through something like this. So from Crawfordsville south is where most of the severe weather was and the heavier thunderstorms. North of that was just your average thunderstorms and just an occasional severe spot. I know a lot of places got severe weather later over here as it opened up again in the eastern half of the state especially. And most of the watches and warnings first popped up around 11 for Lafayette, and then by 1 it was all over here, right? Because it had all passed us by then. We didn't have much of a worry. Today we're going to see similar type of activity today is what we're going to see as the thunderstorm complex gets closer but really tries to hopscotch over us. Let's see what the models look like. And I went in real close right now to show you what's going on. This is the 11Z. It only goes out 18 hours, but it gives us what's going to happen today. And here we are, high and dry. We are at 9 o'clock. 13Z is 9 o'clock in the morning, all right? And so it's right on time, and we can see it actually has more rain in central Illinois than when you go back there and see it. See, there's not much there at all. So it's actually got more rain in central Illinois than it shows. That could be a different factor, too, to help or hurt us. But by 14Z, it just shows a big swath of rain coming out of that place just north of St. Louis there, right? And then kind of extends itself out. Looks like a Mr. Krabs hand there kind of coming at us. And then it kind of moves and pops to the north of us, right? But look at Lafayette's right here. Still high and dry. Everything's looking good. We got a band of showers, maybe even thunderstorms popping up to the southwest of us. But look where they go. They stay south of us, right? And the first little batch is just a batch of showers. Goes up near Rensselaer anyway at this point. That's what the model's saying. And then as everything starts to approach us by this evening, here we are. Now we are at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and this band has gone by. We still haven't gotten any rain, right, in Lafayette. It goes by, there we are at 6 o'clock, nothing. 7 o'clock, maybe a scattered shower or thunderstorm. Looks like the line is going to get us. And then watch what happens. Here we are at 8 o'clock, boom. It's right on the southern edge. It looks like maybe Crawfordsville's been getting some rain, maybe south of there. Terre Haute probably got some rain. Indianapolis. But Lafayette's kind of high and dry at the moment. And then, boom, it just skirts us and stays just south of us. And look at this. You have a band of stuff to the north. You have a band of stuff to the south. And a freeway right down the middle with nothing in it. And guess who is in there? Lafayette's in that little swath because here we are right there. All right, so that's us. So that's at 10 o'clock tonight, then 11, then 12. We start to see a couple scattered showers, another potential for some rain overnight. By 1 in the morning and then 2 in the morning, maybe we get a scattered shower. That's by this on the her right now. All right, so the question is the her right? Is it going to skip over us right now? Well, let's see what the NAM Nest says. Same pattern. Let's see what it says. It goes out a bit farther, and this model was a bit earlier than the 11 that just came out from the her. Okay, it brings in some scattered showers. Here we are. We're already at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So it's already saying, nope, no rain today for you guys. No rain, no rain, no rain. And then boom, finally at about 6 o'clock, it brings in some scattered showers for Lafayette into the area. Maybe a thunderstorm or two definitely popping up in there is a possibility. And then it crosses us very quickly, basically from 6 to 7, and it's gone. And then that's it. there it is, another scattered shower late tonight about 10 o'clock. So which one are we going to worry about? But you notice we just keep getting kind of in the bubble where it misses us. Now the NAM nest keeps leaving little showery activity. To me, this is probably more this activity back in here, and we are in that right there. It's more of your drizzly kind of feel behind the system. The clouds are there, and there's some drizzle coming down. Maybe a little bit of light rain here or there is a possibility. And then maybe a scattered shower or two comes through. And then what does it do for tomorrow? Well, here we are at 14Z tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning, and the same thing is happening. Look at Lafayette's just outside. We're in a little protective bubble, yet it showed Crawfordsville getting rain, right? And then it misses us. So it's just the same kind of thing I've seen in this pattern for years here. Years, some reason, something. Now, it could be my just, mentality of thinking about things, but I'm not the only forecaster who's picked up and looked at this and saw this, because we laugh about it being the Lafayette bubble. All right, so so there you go. I mean, look at that. All that rain in the area tomorrow, and most of it just stays south of us, right? Boom, 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 just misses us. I mean, we're missed by 20 miles. That's it. That's all it is. So realistically, let's take a look at this. Let's even just throw it on here. I'll bet there's hardly any rain on here at all, right? Precipitation, total precip accumulation. Look at that. It shows maybe a half an inch. And some areas don't get hardly anything. There's like nothing here, right? So if you kind of put the cursor there and you kind of click on, you go through, you see lots of no places. There's rain south of us. But this was the indicator yesterday, too, that the heavier rain would be south of us. So we're looking at kind of like that kind of scenario setting up again today, where the rain misses us and we just kind of stay out of the loop, I think, right now. It's really an oddity. It's kind of funny. It's kind of fun to watch. Now the rest of you who are paying attention to it will be looking for it every day, right, Ray? Ray says good morning to everybody out there. Good to see you this morning, Ray. Glad he's in the chat. Ray knows about the bubble. Him and I have talked about the Lafayette bubble before. But Ray lives out south of town, so he's out closer to Crawfordsville. So sometimes he'll get the rain and town won't. We've seen that many times, haven't we, Ray? We have seen that. Man. So, that's just kind of the way it works when you get into that kind of thing. Oh, I remembered I can't push that button again. All right. So there we go. So when we get to that, I got to push all the buttons. And when I push them all, there we go. I finally get everything back like I want it. When the brush is on here and I'm using the brush to show you guys the patterns, it'll if I click the wrong button, everything will disappear on me. So I got to watch out for that. All right, so let's take a look at the temperatures and see what's going to happen here. Since we realize we're not going to get a ton of rain, what does the HRRR say for precipitation over this period real quick before we move on? Total precipitation accumulated during the period. See that? It shows like 1/8 of an inch really south of town, north of town, hardly nothing at all. Well, that's where I'm at. I might run around in a slingshot this evening. I got stuff to do, though, today with a doctor's appointment, so probably not. But you know what I mean, right? Just doesn't show much rain at all in there, and the other one shows nothing at all. All right, so let's see what it does to our temperatures. All right, so here we are early this morning. Let's get to the normal time. There we go. Model says 71. What are we right now? 74, right? There's the update on it. Wow, this thing is bouncing all over the place. 74 degrees. There you go on that front. Okay, so we're already warmer than what the model says at 9 o'clock. What's it say at 10 o'clock? Well, it only goes to 73, but I'll bet we're 75 or 76. So the model's off by a few degrees. Early this morning, and early in the model run, it's off a little bit. So let's see what happens here. It gets up to 78, 81, 82 pretty quickly this afternoon. Look at this, 86 up near Rensselaer. Look at the pockets of mid-80s right there, right? So we're in the pocket of 80s. There's no doubt about that, but the pocket of mid-80s is just north of town. It might get hot in my house here this afternoon. And then you can see where the rain is because it's cooled there. It's only around 80 to even upper 70s through that stretch where the rain is going to try to go through here. And then you get more hot down towards the south, all right? So That's where you're seeing some of that as of right now. And so that's where we're going. That's where we're headed this afternoon. It's probably 82 to 86, right? Because we see if Rensselaer's 86, there's potential for us to get to 86, right? We could see that. But 82 looks like a done deal for this afternoon. And it hangs there for a few hours like that before it cools off. And now by about 8 o'clock, we're back down to 74. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11, we're back to 66, which is the coldest it's been. So the low for today probably comes at midnight to 11 o'clock, 64 to 66, the official low for Thursday. No, what is today? Tuesday. It's today, Tuesday. This evening at 11 o'clock, because this morning it was only like 73 or 4 for the low. It didn't get down there. It was maybe upper 60s tops at best. So around the region. So you may have the actual low temperature this evening, and then what it is going to do is usher in some colder air, though. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's watch this as it goes out. We're at 58 tomorrow morning. Now we're dropping to 53, 52, 53, 52, somewhere in there. What's the average low for the 20th of May, which is tomorrow morning? It is 52 degrees. So average low tomorrow morning will be very close to that, it looks like. And what's the problem here? Our problem is the wind's out of the north now, right? So we've had the system go through. It's dropped all of its rain. It's hopscotched over us. It's hit places here and here. Seems like it's missed Lafayette, right? But it's brought in the cold air, and you can see all the winds coming out of the north. So everybody down here, even all the way back down in southern Indiana, is getting temperatures in the 50s for tomorrow in the early morning. And we haven't seen that in a few days. So it's been rather nice in the mornings, actually, the last few days, even though we've hopscotched around a lot of the rain. Okay, and then look at this. You even got 40s up into Wisconsin already still hanging on there. All right, so then we go through, and let's see what happens tomorrow into the afternoon. And there you go. We pop only back up to like 60. 63, 64, maybe let's call 65. Let's be generous and say we're going to make it to the 65 pocket right in here. We're right in this area. It shows Logansport at 65 and us at 63. And look at this, Crawfordsville's 59. So, there you go. You can see where the cold air is. You can probably pinpoint where clouds are too on here. They're outside of this circle right here. This circle right here says no clouds, right? Look how warm it is. And think of what the warmth was today and what it's going to be tomorrow. Here we're talking a pocket of 60s as being the warmth tomorrow. But look where it is. It's right here. And that tells me that pocket's probably going to be open. There'll be clouds up around the lake, and there'll be clouds south of us where the rain is kind of going through, right? That's where it pushes through. And that's where we're going to see it. And this is what the 6Z model has now shown. And then it goes out. Does it go all the way out till Thursday morning? It doesn't quite hit Thursday morning, but look at this, how cold. Now we're talking 40s Thursday morning, though. At 2 in the morning, it's already down to 47. But we still have a northerly flow coming, right? It's not very strong, but it is a northerly flow. And then as it shifts to the east, you can kind of see that easterly flow trying to work its way in. As it shifts to the east, then it'll warm up just a little bit. Not much, just a little bit. A couple degrees here or there is the mainstay on that. If you hit the NAM Nest, which goes out a little farther, it shows 45 at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is 2 o'clock in the morning our time, right? And it bottoms out right at that 45. It just says we're going to stay right around there. Does it get any colder? It does not. And then it rises up the temperature on Thursday. By middle of the day, by 2 o'clock, it's up to 63. So it looks like we've got one spectacularly hot day today, way above normal, right? We're 10 to 15 degrees above normal today. We'll call it 10 because I think the average is like 74 or 5 for today. What is today? 19th. Should be 75. And we're going to be up maybe 82 to 85. So we're going to be 8 to 10 degrees above normal. This morning, we're like 15, we're 20 degrees above normal for the morning hours, right, on that front. So we're seeing some of that. So that's something that we've had to keep an eye on. And then we're going to turn cold. We're going to be chilly for about 3 to 4 days. Let's get into some of the long-range stuff on this. There's the GFS here. I'm going to pop back out to the bigger range here to show you guys, and we'll be able to look at how the systems run through the region because this GFS kind of gives us isobars on top of the winds that you see here and the temperatures that you're going to encounter. All right, so let's go back to closer to where we are now. So here we are Tuesday morning, right? It shows 74 right now, so it's pretty accurate. It's pretty close for our temperatures. We can see the flow right here. Look at this. Look how warm it is out to the east of us. Man, it's pretty warm there in West Virginia. They're in the upper 80s here already this morning because, of course, they've already had another hour of sunshine. But we can see the cold right here fighting, wanting to make its way into our interior of the United States out of Canada. The Canadians are getting after us again. All right, they're sending their cold down. All right, so there we go. But Tuesday, this is Tuesday today, obviously. Let's see how warm that it says. It says we're only going to get maybe upper 70s right there. So it's more conflicted, but remember it tried to, what does it? It brings in, it's more muddled with in bigger pictures of where the rain's at, so it may have more rain over us. If I swap over to that real quick, let's see if we can get that. Here we go. We can see the front on here real easy, right? So I look at this and you can kind of see where the front is pretty easy on here. It's right down through here, boom, just like that. That's where the frontal system is. And you have a big high back over here, and you have your front through here trying to run through the country as we go through this afternoon. And you got all your hot stuff, hot and clammy, hot and sticky over here. I don't know what you want to call it here. Cool and comfortable back over here, right? For this time of the year, and they're fighting each other, and then this is what's going to happen. So by tonight it goes through, it cools us off. Look at how all the cold air just like pushes itself down. The high is right here, right? Let me change colors because I can't stand that color when I'm doing this. All right, there we go. The high is right here, right? And then look at where all the wind around the high is coming. Boom, 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 boom. And then the front is settling itself down in by tonight, past us. The entire frontal system is now past Lafayette. It's hopscotched its way across, and Lafayette's been missed out of most of the big rain. At least that's what the model says right now. Okay? And then we start to see how it moves. So then what do we get? So here we are Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning. And it says in the morning like 51, the upper 40s I think we were looking at one way. And then the next day it's only going to get tomorrow up to like 62 or there, somewhere in that range. And it's the same thing. Look at this. There's a pocket around here where there's clouds. So this tells me no clouds in this area right here, right? I can see it goes way out here, goes back like this, and no clouds because it's warmer. Look how much warmer it is. Here, clouds, rain, right? You can see how much colder it is back here. Draw a circle just like that. Whoops, missed it a little bit, but you guys understand what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Now the high is trying to dig itself in for tomorrow and bring us that weather, and then here comes first we're northerly at early morning hours tomorrow night. This is Wednesday night. Look how northerly it is here, but you see the northerly and then easterly winds coming in, trying to come towards us. And sure enough, a few hours later, by the morning hour on Thursday morning, we have this easterly wind to northeasterly wind coming at us. Still a cold wind, right? You go back an hour and you see highs or lows somewhere around 45, it looks like. And then it only warms up, same kind of scenario. You can pretty much draw clouds. Here's where no clouds are, right? Kind of like this. That's where most of your clouds will be gone that day, right? And the cold air has come down, but it's now modified by the sun. So the high on Thursday is only mid-60s right now. And you still see the 40s trying to attack us on Friday morning. And then we get a little bit warmer, trying to on Saturday, but really it just doesn't. Friday afternoon doesn't do much. Like a Friday afternoon, it's like upper 50s to near 60. The morning hours on Saturday morning are a bit warmer now. We're finally back into the 50s for our lows. And then we crawl our way back into the lower 70s by Saturday. And then you can see the 80s trying to creep in there towards us like that as the day goes on. And you can see the southerly flow down by Tennessee, down where Bill's at. And then coming in our direction, though, we're getting a straight west wind. on that day on Saturday, okay? And then we kind of go through it pretty easily. You can see the high, there's still a big high back here, right? We can see some more northerly winds to reinforce. We have some kind of system trying to bump through the area Saturday into Sunday, but it's coming from the northwest. And so then our temperatures are about normal, 75 or so for highs on Saturday, maybe Sunday for sure. And then what does it do on Monday? Well, Monday morning, it's about near normal. Warms up pretty nicely on Monday afternoon. Are we going to get into any real big warmth? No, right now it's just everything's near normal after a cold period, right? And remember, by the middle of next week, we should be somewhere around 77 for our highs. So we're closing in on 80. By the beginning of June, we get to 80 for our highs. But right now, we should be around 75, 76 today. Tomorrow, I think officially 76 with lows in the lower 50s. Okay, so by the 30th, this is the 27th, it should be 78 degrees for our highs. And we're seeing 60s still is what we're seeing is 60s. But we're starting on this one specifically, we're seeing 60s at night, and we're starting to see that, there it is, the southerly flow and a pocket of 80s finally over us by May 27th, which is next Wednesday. So the cooling period looks to be with us for a while then after today, right? Today's warm. We get back into the 80s, and it's going to be cool for a while, all right? And then by next Wednesday, we finally get back into the 80s. And then Thursday, we're just back in the 80s again. So Wednesday and Thursday look about above normal. And then Friday next week, same thing, low 80s. All right, so we're warm. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What does it do on Saturday? It's pretty warm on Saturday. We've got highs somewhere around 80, 85, right, around that time frame. And then you go out, and then we get a little bit of cooler weather for a couple days again. May 31st, which is Sunday, doesn't look as warm. And you can see that there's a influence of some cooler air, but still we're in our 70s now. And by the end of the month, like we said, by June 1st, we have a high temperature of 79. And we're still hovering around 73 somewhere there. So the cooler air has been there with a short spurt of warmth end of next week. And then it just kind of tends to be that way. We're around normal to just below normal. All right, so let's come back and look where all the rain is. We could follow the systems through pretty easily, but we couldn't follow the rain very well through there, could we? So let's look at winter precipitation type. And it's going to be very muddled at the beginning, right? It's especially right in here. Look, it's got rain over us. It's kind of got rain over us. It's kind of missing us here. It's kind of has some rain to our east. It's very muddled. And then it pops all the showers and thunderstorms and later into Wednesday morning and out to our east. But it's got us in there in the mix. And then it moves it all out and south. Okay, so now we're looking for trends. What's the trends? And the trends are now we get dry for a little while. Look at that. There's Wednesday looks fairly dry. Thursday looks dry. We still have that cold effect. Now we've got a quick shot of some warmth and some rain coming up on Friday afternoon. So Wednesday, Thursday look good right now. Okay, and then Friday takes on a quick shot of rain. Then we're muddled again on Sunday with maybe some rain coming in. All right, and then I think Monday and Tuesday, there it is. There's some more cooler air again with the rain south of us down here. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of the rain there with that system. And that just reinforces the cool for a bit. We're not getting the big storms coming up from the south. We're seeing just lots of smaller storms. I think they're still large scale. If you look at them, there's rain a lot of different places, but we don't see tight isobars. We don't see a lot of thunderstorm activity in these. We're seeing just showery activity, a lot of it, through a lot of these. And then we move forward and we can see there's a system way out on May 28th, next Thursday. It has a low, but there's still behind it's not much. We're not seeing your classic low pressure systems moving through. We're seeing just kind of a muddled mess. Now, we're not getting set up east to west like this for the rain, right? Which we've been in that pattern for the last couple of days, but the rain has been just south of us like this. Southern Indiana's been getting a lot of rain. Southern Illinois, central Missouri, all through here. Lots of rain. We're just north of that, like us, and some places in Illinois have missed out on it, right? So that's where the east-west set up just south of us. Could have easily set up over us, and we would have been complaining about rain. I mean, not that it hasn't rained, it's just not like it has south of us. Okay, here we are like next Saturday, and there's the next Saturday, Sunday rainmaker in there for us. But again, where's the low? Where's the tight lows? Look at this. I see an isobar here. I see an isobar over here, but I see rain all through this area, right? Scattered rains. There's just not a lot of intelligible looking low pressure systems built up, ready to go, right? They're probably trying to force a little low in here. You could probably take a front and go like this, kind of like that. And it's like, well, what is it really doing? Is there rain up there and then turns this way? Is there a frontal system out here? What's going? There's just not a lot to look at. The model itself is very muddled, I would call it, by this time. Maybe that's what we'll call tomorrow's forecast. Is it going to be muddled right there? So there's next Sunday does show rain, then it kind of quiets down. We start to see another cold system right here. You can see that now we see some isobars packed together, right? And we can see a system that's a little more developed, and the rain in front of it's a little more developed, all right? So we can see that kind of coming through pretty easily. And then that system washes through Monday, Tuesday, June 1st, 2nd, right? And then ushers in a few good days of weather. Looks like it's high pressure takes over, and we get, just a little fleeting system from the north that kind of goes across, and we're on the southern edge of that. Watch this, and boom, boom, and it just even disappears as it comes by right there. So it's still trailing here, but it's all moving this way, and all the energy goes up into Canada with it. So I went through that pretty quickly, but all is to say this: we've got a warm day right now, one warm day, right? Then it's going to get cold, right? Could be some spotty showers. This is the symbol for a shower, right? Which is a triangle with a dot over the top. That's showery activity, not the ears, the arrow ears that are on there. Okay, so then we've got some of that in there. But we're not seeing thunderstorms, and this is the symbol for a thunderstorm. Oops, I could have just left it there because that is an arrow on there on the end. All right, it does have an arrow on the end for thunderstorms. So that's what the thunderstorm symbol. A lot of times it has a dot above it because that means it's raining, obviously. Most thunderstorms, it's raining. Not all of them, but you're hearing thunder and lightning, but you're not getting rained on at that point. You're still receiving a thunderstorm. You're just not getting the rain with it, okay? And for aviation reasons, for pilots, that does mean a difference. Whether they're going to be trying to land in a thunderstorm and it's pouring down rain or not makes a big difference to them. So they might take a shot if they're circling around and there's no rain overhead and still come in. It just depends. We've seen all kinds of different scenarios happen over the years. All right, so we saw that. Let's go back to some of the short range stuff here again real quick. See if we can get some of this in here. Okay, so and change over to the 12Z. The 12Z has about 79% of it done now. So let's take a look at it in the big course and look closer. So we haven't even looked at this model yet at this time frame on this one. We've looked at the HER. But this is the new run that's now 79% done, and this one goes out 48 hours, all right? So let's see if it hopscotches over Lafayette, which is right here, okay? So Lafayette is right there. We've got a rain shield, something like this. Got a couple scattered showers up there. There's where you can kind of count on rain. Maybe a couple scattered stuff up in here, possibly, okay? What will we see on the radar? We'll have to check that in a second, right? Well, let's look at it right now. Let's go back to the radar real quick. There's the radar. It shows a little bit of that scattered activity up near Chicago. We see that little stretching arm coming out, kind of looking like it's right there. And a couple scattered showers over St. Louis coming in right now to them, okay? But what is that going to do to us? So here's St. Louis. You see the rain coming in. You see the heavier rains to the southwest and not much here. That kind of reaching out. It seems like this rain is over here, right? So let's give it one more hour, push it out, see what happens. Okay, there it is. That looks pretty close to what the radar is. And since we're closer to 10 o'clock than we are 9, that this is the 10 o'clock run, this is pretty close. Okay, so we'll go with that. Lafayette, right here, okay? Where do we need the weather to build? And generally speaking, we want something to happen right in here, right? Because then that's going to move across Lafayette, all right? So let's see how the model does with it now. Now it brings rain out across the state, and it just dries it up. Look at how it's drying up. We're losing all the intensities. You go back a couple spots, boom, boom. Look how there's so much heavy rain in there, right? And then it just like crosses the Mississippi and falls apart. Gets into Illinois. Nothing has come. One scattered shower right here. All right, this is 1 o'clock this afternoon. One scattered light shower is out over near Attica somewhere, and on the next shot, it's gone, right? Look at that. So it's banging into higher pressure and better weather here, and it's falling apart. And look at that. And then one little scattered shower gets around us. So did that miss us? Did this one go here and this one go here? But look at your line is setting up in the same spots right here, just like that. Where's the freeway? Lafayette is the freeway. Right, so you got a band setting up here, you got a band setting up here, and maybe there's a dashed line down the middle. All right, let's see if we get any rain out of this. Okay, so here we are at 4 o'clock, then 5 o'clock. Oh, look at a couple scattered showers in and around the area. 6 o'clock, you've got a scattered shower, just enough to ruin a baseball game. Maybe we get something out of this at 6 o'clock this evening. And then 7, it's gone. And then look at where the rain is. The rain is south of us, right? And then this other little batch is up here to the north. So you got a batch there, and then you got a batch like this. And there's a corridor in between that's dry and has been dry all day, or most of the day, right? The Lafayette bubble. And it misses us. Look at that. Now watch what happens to the rain to the north. Okay, so the rain to the south, still missing us. Rain to the north, does it ever advance to us? Nope. Here we are. 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. Then here we are, still got rain. Maybe we get into some of the rain to the north. Finally by, here we are at 4 in the morning now, 5 in the morning. Maybe some rain. And look at Lafayette still in between the two spots at this point. And then finally, there you go. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, a couple showers run over us where the model actually has rain on top of us. By 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then by 1, it's starting to pass by. By 2, it's off of us and gone. So it brings rain in finally over us tomorrow morning, somewhere around 4 or 5 in the morning. We get a few scattered showers. You could see a thunderstorm or two in here, right? There's a possibility of something like that. But severe weather-wise, it's just not happening, okay? And then everything dries out and we look good for the rest of the day. All right, so that's how that scenario is setting up on the new run, the new model. Okay, what does it do with our temperatures during that time frame? Let's see how warm we get this afternoon. The surface temperature on this says we will get all the way up to low 80s. It's a little more conservative. You can see the pocket of 80s here and kind of where the clouds are. And everything to the right here is really hot and not much for clouds. Everything to the left was rainy and cloudy. So you could put the clouds in pretty easily like that, right there or over here. And then there's another pocket of clouds right here, right? And then the open spot is where? Lafayette bubble. The bubble. The bubble is right here. And that bubble protects us from getting a lot of rain. It seems like it. I know, but it's there, isn't it? So when does the new model say our best chance for rain is? Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is our best chance for rain, all right? Where the previous model even cleared that rain out before it got here and said we wouldn't get into any of that. So I wouldn't be surprised. All right, so 81 today. Then we drop off overnight. Remember, what was it back at around midnight? Here we go. There's midnight, 66, 68. So the high, I think, or the low so far already this morning has been like 67, I think is where. Yeah, 67, I think, was the low. Now, I don't know if that was back around midnight or so. when that was. That might be the official low. This says yesterday, but in reality, it could be here. And then it's saying 55 tomorrow morning, because I believe this is what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. And then look at some of if you look at the actual numbers stretched across here, highs 65, 66, 60, 58, 66, 71. So the rest of the week is going to be cool. Some cool mornings, one definitely tomorrow morning, and then the rest is near normal for the lows. All right. Now, if you look at this, it says there's a 71% chance of rain at 8 o'clock tonight and from 6 to 8. So there is still that possibility of this running through. But look at how it's shrunk its way down. It was way out to midnight showing rain, and now it's right here. That's the changes that have just happened on this model run right here, okay? So we haven't even looked at some of this other stuff already. Let's look at the Storm Prediction Center. Storm Prediction Center, look at this, where's the severe weather? It has now hopscotched us, and we are right here, right? Now we are on the backside of any severe weather potential. It's already hopscotched across us, right, with a new model run. Everything is moving this direction today. Yesterday it was all out here, right? Now today it's all here. Yesterday it had us right in the center of it like this, right? Today it's hopscotched over us, and we're kind of just out of it. And most everything is going to develop to our east. And we're going to have a pocket down here that's real bad in Arkansas, all right? So that's a pretty easy hit there. Just look at where the tornado potential is. Here's your wind activity, and there's your hail. The good news is you don't see a lot of tornadic activity because there's not even a jet support down here to the south for this. So that's where you're looking at least on that front. And then I don't think we can advance on this one without turning the bulb off. There we go. Day 2 outlook looks like this. Everything looks great. Obviously, we look good the rest of the week, right? We look good. We're not going to have any chances of thunderstorms popping in there anywhere new anyway. Okay, so we've been paying attention to a lot of the models now for a bit. Let's take a look at what some of the cameras are showing out there real quick. Hey, here's a gorgeous picture up to the north, up near Rensselaer. Wow, very nice shot looking off towards the north there. And then we get the shot looking back towards, this one is at the State Road 114 exit, and you can kind of see the shadows this way. So we're looking north again on this shot. Can't see the sky much in the sky right now, can we? All right. And then the exit over there. Do we get the construction? We did not get the construction on that shot today to tell you what the traffic's like if you're heading up that way. Craig's in there. He says he needs some thunderstorms. The buble. Is it the buble or the bubble? I'll have you guys talking about the Lafayette bubble here for a while. It's just there. I don't know why everything seems to hopscotch over us, but it does. Just hippity hop. Oh, stop and then go around us. I've seen some weird things, and this is one of them. All right, 231 exit. Here we go. Looking pretty nice down there. High clouds over Lafayette in our region, right? So that's why we're seeing some of this really good weather. Here's State Road 18 looking really nice. You can see a little bit of the cloud cover there. State Road 43. Sunshine on my... Uh-oh. What's this? They've got a lane broken down. I wonder what happened up in here. Something. Looks like they got some lanes blocked. Maybe they're doing some activity. But from 25 looking back to 43, looks gorgeous this morning. We are looking high and dry here in the Lafayette area. Everybody, let's get Harry Carey out. Everybody's looking high and dry this morning, everybody. Let's get up onto that. There you go. All right, Harry's gone. We do see some beautiful cirrus clouds on the shot down at Dayton at State Road 38. This is looking southerly looking shot, all right? And then as you drop down State Road 28, what is the difference here? Look at this. Yesterday, no rain in the fields. Today, more rain starting to be picked up. So they must have got some pretty heavy rain yesterday down near Frankfort. Again, where was that in Lafayette? Well, we got some rain, but I just don't think it was as heavy as it was down there. The totals will show that. And then you look off to the east, and it's very bright there at Frankfort. That's all you see on that. Okay, let's look in closer. First off, we got to go out to the daily Fowler check, right? And the camera out there. And we have a count of 2 today, 1 on each side of the road. I think there's a car broke down up there, but we're not going to count it because he's not on the road. So 2 today. But nothing but high skies there right now. You can't see much on that. Let's look at the Covington camera. The Covington camera just shows a lot of sunshine too. So we're just too far away to even see a lot of the clouds really, at this point. How about West Lafayette? There you go. Gorgeous. Looking from Walmart towards the north, and you can see even not much for activity for cars right now. What do we got? Oh, let's go back to that picture here real quick, because I can just zip along behind there. Okay, so has the airport camera started to face towards the sky? Nope, still looking at the ground. All right, it's been about 3 weeks now. Okay, but they fixed the bump. There was a vibration in the pole or something for the camera here at the River Road exit where 52 and 231 come together, right? This is looking off towards the southwest, right? As you see it here, but for about a month it was vibrating. You could see that in the picture itself. All right, so we continue over to the mall, and it looks pretty nice. I think we might have a shot way over that Logansport shot. Is it looking right into the sun again? This morning not too bad. A couple trucks. There's a truck and somebody heading into Logansport today. Does Logansport have a Walmart? I think it does. That's it for them for today. Some observations looking at different places. 71 here. There it goes. It updates to 74 with a dew point of 65, 10 plus miles visibility, and the winds are out of the southwest at about 5 knots. That's about it. It's 5 knots. It could be anywhere from 3 to 8. All right, is what you're going to get there, or 7. Because we round, everything gets rounded into fives. And get used to that with your money. You notice you've seen that at a lot of different places. Well, in the weather field, we round everything to the fives here so we know what we're getting. We show a gust of 22, but when it comes to these wind barbs, we round to the nearest 5. A long one is 10, a short one is 5. So the wind speed here at Monticello was out of these, we'll call it, that's not 2.5, that's 210, right? 210 degrees coming this way. Right? It was at 10, 15 knots with gusts of 22. That's the winds. That's how we would talk about it in the weather world, all right? Southwest, gusting 22 knots, sustained at 15. We're only sustained at 5 here, but we have gusts to 18 in Lafayette. And then you look back out towards the west. Also the circles, there's nothing below 10,000 feet for clouds here at Monticello, Lafayette, Frankfort. There's a little bit of cloud cover below, just less than half out towards Crawfordsville for low clouds. Danville starting to pick up some, but most even the areas out to the west look pretty good. Here's where the rain is starting to show there, near Peoria, back over towards Springfield, that kind of thing. Decatur looks good so far, so none of the rain has spread even to that point. Indianapolis right now does have some lower clouds around it, and you can see there's a pocket that goes all the way to the southeast of Indianapolis also on here. So these can tell you a lot. You can also see this one happens to be showing a reported turbulence at 43,000 feet. This is way up there. This was a jet that was cutting across, and he had some light turbulence. It was Embraer 545 aircraft at 43,000 feet, and he reported light to moderate chop. Calls it chop, all right? And it was continuous. It wasn't stopping. Now, how long that lasted, let's see. I don't know if he gives anything in here on heads up on it. Just light to moderate chop right now, all right? So that's where he was when he reported it, and he reported it to the Indianapolis. That it showed it was coming out of Indianapolis. But here's where it was when he reported it. Here's one up over Kokomo, right? This turbulence is light to moderate. Doesn't talk about being choppy. But it just says light to moderate from 35,000 to 37,000 feet. And this is is your clear air turbulence is what you're running into. We call it CAT turbulence, right? Clear air turbulence, simple enough. An Airbus 320, A320 is what ran into that. So there's some turbulence over Lafayette and central Indiana right now. It's being reported by some aircraft. So you'll get that from this one too, the Aviation Weather Center's observations. And you'll get a lot of different smaller places too, right? You notice, like I said, we zoomed into Lafayette a little bit, but look at what we picked up. We picked up Monticello, Logansport, Grissom, the Air Reserve Base, Kokomo, Frankfort, back up to Rensselaer. We picked up Danville, and then, of course, Crawfordsville, south of town. Is that where the airport is? Is there an airport in Crawfordsville, south of town? And that's probably where the sensor is, okay, most of the time. Same thing here. Lafayette, you notice the sensor is over where the airport is, and the same thing with Monticello. Actually, that might be a little bit farther north of the airport, because there is an airport running in there, because I drive by it when I go up there to go to the mall, to the Walmart. All right. So that is on the airport. Okay. That is on the airport south of Monticello. All right. So right there. So they have a reporting station, and now they're automated, right? They're not. When I first came into the weather field, we were all observers. We started observers. We were the ones telling the information on this. Now they have equipment to do it all, or a lot of it. You all complain about AI, and observers lost their jobs pretty quickly in the 80s and 90s. By 2000s, almost everything was automated. So now you have places like Fort Wayne has an automated station there, right? And they still run weather observers there just to watch the equipment and make sure the equipment is making a proper reading. Because Fort Wayne has more aircraft, and it's a bigger airport than, say, Lafayette's. If Lafayette's got that big, they might have people there to watch the equipment more. Right? It's more important. It's got a bigger flight pattern. There's more aircraft coming and going. Fort Wayne has daily, 10, 15 flights. Lafayette has 2 to 4, right? So that's kind of why you have more of a need over here. Same thing with over at Grissom. You have a staff there during the day all the time with a weather office. Now it's all for the military aircraft, but it puts out weather, and you'll be able to see that. So that's pretty cool there. So here's their latest observation at Grissom. It's a 12:55, so it was right on top of the hour. Winds 220 at 17, gusts to 20, 10 miles visibility, clear skies, temperature 24, dew point 19, altimeter 298, and remarks sea level pressure, and then it gives you the high and low temperature during the time frame. So I remember all that, huh? And then Lafayette's latest report at the runway. Let's see if we can get it. For some reason I can't. There we go. We have winds 210 at 7, gusts to 18, 10 miles visibility, clear skies, and again, that's below 10,000 feet. Temperature's 23, 18. You notice that it's in Celsius, so you got to do it all in your head, right? Altimeter 29, 99, and the remarks show the same thing: sea level pressure and what the temperatures, highs and lows were during the hour, that kind of thing. So you go over here, you can come all the way over to this one right here, which I know pretty well. This is Rantoul. This is Chanute. Now, the entire weather field for the military went to school at Chanute from the late 70s into about the early 90s. So for almost 20 years, it was at Chanute. And then they shut down the entire Chanute Air Force Base. It didn't have aircraft coming and going at it. It was just a schoolhouse, and it was, I believe, the second largest schoolhouse in the world outside of Russia. So there was one in Russia that was bigger, and they shut the entire thing down. And all the schools moved and went to different places, and the weather school ended up in Biloxi, Mississippi. So I went through observing school in Illinois, and I went through forecasting school in Illinois in 1989, right? And then as a forecaster, I went as an instructor down at Biloxi at Keesler, Mississippi, and I was an instructor there for a couple of years before I retired out on my spinal cord injury. So that's how that worked out. That's how the military worked back then. So they are still at Keesler. They are still at Keesler. So they have been there since probably 92, 93, 90, somewhere in there, maybe 89, 90. I thought I was one of the last classes, forecasting classes through there. And they had just built a brand new building, and I don't know if it's still sitting there. Somebody's using it, I'm sure. Somebody bought it up. I'm not sure how that works. But and then it moved to Keesler. So it's been there 30 years, more than 30 years right now at this point, down in Keesler. I doubt they're changing anytime soon, at least from what I hear. So that's what we've got going, at least at this point and this moment. All right. There's a lot of activity, but it seems like we're being missed by a lot of the activity. Let's go back to the model. Let's see where the rain is. Let's get a little closer in, right? See how close it is to us, actually. There we go. There's the Indianapolis. Lafayette's right here. We can just see we're starting to pick up. There's a lot of ground clutter in central Illinois, but so you see a little bit of an intensity here or there. But then you see a couple showers starting to pop up around it. All right, so that's how close it is there. If we go and change that and we go to actually like an Illinois shot, you can see the rain pretty good with Lafayette just off of there. You see that as it approaches St. Louis, it falls apart. And it just, there's not enough to hold it together this time of the day. And so that's what we're running into there on that front. No warnings or watches available. What's the updated temperature right now? Because we are right at the top of the hour. We are currently 75 degrees outside. That would be a normal high for this time of the year, with the average high on the 19th of May, Tuesday, being 75 degrees and the average low being 51. We got nowhere near that low of 51. We will tomorrow morning, and the next several days will be like that. And then for several days, 3 days, 4 days, we're going to be in the 60s, maybe crawling our way up to 70 on Thursday, where there's lots of sunshine being seen. And then we're back in and out of rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday, unless the bubble gets us. The bubble keeps protecting us. We'll see what happens. I find it really hard to believe that we're not going to get some rain out of some of this, but hey, models hopscotch right over us like I've seen many, many times before. All right, so that's it for my Tuesday and your Tuesday. Enjoy the 75, getting up to somewhere in the lower 80s today. Don't change any of your plans because most of the rain misses us, but be leery. Maybe have an umbrella with you if you're someone that's worried about that, because we could see, a heavy downpour, maybe some lightning out of one or two of these. Generally speaking, we're out of the mix for any severe weather for today. All right, that's it, guys. Have a blessed day, and I will talk to you tomorrow when? Yes, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. See ya.